It finally happened. After 9 seasons of dizzying highs, playoff heartbreak, and endless contract chatter, Mitch Marner is a Vegas Golden Knight. Toronto signed the 28-year-old to an 8-year, $96 million deal, then flipped the entire contract west in a blockbuster sign and trade that delivered right shot center Nicolas Roy, a 2026 first-round pick, and future considerations. Within minutes, Leafs Nation was split between disbelief and relief, all asking the same thing: is this the end of the high-flying Leafs we knew, or a chance to build something better? Before we dig into whether this marks the dawn or the downfall, tap subscribe so you're here for every twist of the Leafs' new era, and buckle up, because the real story starts now. Toronto didn't simply ship out a superstar, they bought themselves room to breathe. Marner's full $12 million cap hit disappears, replaced by Roy's tidy $3 million number, and an extra winger, Matias Maccelli, acquired in a side deal the same afternoon. Marner departs with 741 points in 657 games and 4 straight seasons north of 90 points. But fans remember one other figure just as vividly: 9 consecutive years of early playoff exits. The move looks less like panic and more like calculated timing, yet losing a 100-point catalyst still leaves a crater that needs filling, and what forced Toronto's hand runs deeper than money alone. First comes the math. With the salary cap now soaring toward $95.5 million, Marner alone would have devoured more than 12% of Toronto's budget. Add Austin Matthews and William Nylander's mega deals, and the Leafs were inching toward a top-heavy roster with no middle class. Second is the mood. Freshly hired head coach Craig Berube, brought in for his Stanley Cup pedigree and no-nonsense edge, made it clear he wanted heavier forechecking forwards who play through the body and manage risk. Behind closed doors, league sources say Berube felt Marner's high-wire creativity didn't always align with that blueprint. Finally, there's asset management. Letting Marner walk for nothing in 2026 would have been a public relations nightmare. General manager Brad Treliving chose the certainty of a two-way center, a burgeoning winger, and a first-round chip that restocks the prospect cupboard. Yet the loss of Marner's wizardry forces Toronto to rethink how it scores and who will drive play next. The plan is simple: replace Marner by committee. Nicolas Roy steps straight into a third-line shutdown role, easing Austin Matthews' defensive burden and giving Toronto its most reliable face-off option behind John Tavares in years. Matias Maccelli brings 5-on-5 playmaking that could flirt with 50-plus points if stapled to Tavares' wing. Matthews and Nylander will now own the power play half walls Marner once patrolled, transforming the unit from east-west trickery to a more straightforward hammer blow approach built around Matthews' one-timer. Prospects Matthew Knies, Easton Cowan, and Nick Robertson suddenly see a runway to top 6 minutes. Knies earned a 6-year extension the moment the trade became official. Evidence Toronto views him not as a complimentary rookie, but as the next franchise winger. All this skill means nothing without sturdier depth, and that's where the newfound cap space comes in. With Marner gone and the incoming contracts modest, Toronto now controls roughly $6 million in usable space, plus potential LTIR wiggle room. Management's internal priority board starts with a right-wing finisher who can convert Matthews' feeds, swings next to a defensive defenseman who clears the crease, and finishes with affordable goalie insurance for Joseph Woll. Names have already leaked. Brock Boeser would instantly restore the sniper threat Marner used to complement. Winnipeg's Nikolai Ehlers, if signed and traded, would add blistering rush speed. On the blue line, 6'3" rearguard Vlad Gavrikov sits atop the stay-at-home wish list, while depth goalies such as Laurent Brossoit and Casey DeSmith can be had for under $2 million. Every signing, Treliving insists, must pass a single-word test: sturdiness. Because when this overhauled depth chart hits the ice on opening night, there can't be paper cracks. Projecting forward, Berube's lineup likely opens with Knies, Matthews, and Nylander on a top line built to overwhelm, followed by Maccelli alongside Tavares and one of the young wingers in a second-line shelter role. A newly formed checking trio of McMahon, Roy, and Kalle Järnkrok adds puck retrieval muscle, while Gregor, Kempf, and Lafferty grind out the fourth-line minutes. That framework offers 4 playable lines if the kids seize their moments and Roy repeats his Vegas production. The glaring weakness remains right-side finishing once provided by Marner's feeds. Should Boeser or Ehlers slip away, Toronto may end up shifting Nylander across the ice, a switch he and Berube discussed during exit interviews. On defense, Morgan Reilly and Timothy Liljegren will still drive puck movement, yet the second pair needs sandpaper. Talks with Columbus about Andrew Peeke are ongoing, while Gavrikov remains plan B. The third pair of Connor Timmins and a bonus-laden John Klingberg is a nightly roulette unless a cheaper, more mobile option surfaces. Depth looks sturdier than a year ago, but fragility still lurks beneath the top layer, which leads to the ultimate test, the blue line and the crease when April arrives. Joseph Woll silenced skeptics last season with a .909 save percentage over 40-plus games, yet he also missed significant time to lower body injuries. Toronto's plan is a load management tandem, 45 starts for Woll, roughly 37 for a veteran first baseman, to keep him fresh for spring. Bearbay's system lives and dies by puck management and brutal net front boxing out. Riley can start the breakout, but Toronto still lacks a true minute-munching pillar on the right. Trade whispers about Boston's Brandon Carlo lost momentum when the Bruins demanded top prospect Kasper Pohaka, but Treliving hasn't closed the door. If a shutdown defender doesn't arrive, Bearbay might elevate Simon Benoit, last season's most physical Leaf by hits per 60, into a larger assignment. Healthy, the defense looks playoff caliber. Injured, it's thin ice. Which reality shows up will likely define the season. Picture the dream. Matthews channels frustration into a historic chase for 70 goals. Nylander eclipses 100 points again, and Keyes blossoms into a 30-goal power forward. The power play, rebuilt around Matthews' one-timer, stays top 5. The penalty kill leaps into the league's top 10, and Woll delivers a .91 save rate over 50 healthy starts. Toronto cruises to second place in the Atlantic, storms through the second round for the first time since 2002, and enters May as a legitimate Stanley Cup threat. Now, picture the nightmare. The power play falls to mid-pack without Marner's east-west vision, depth scoring vanishes, and a November injury sidelining Woll forces the backup to shoulder an impossible load. Defensive gaps widen, Bearbay shuffles lines in search of chemistry, and the Leafs claw into the playoffs as a wild card, only to be mauled by a heavy Florida team in 6 games. The season will swing on 3 numbers: combined wins above replacement from Matthews and Nylander staying above 12, the penalty kill finishing inside the top 10, and Woll maintaining a save percentage north of .910. Hit 2 of those marks and Toronto dreams big, miss 2, and they tumble back into familiar agony. Long-suffering fans have every right to mourn the exit of a homegrown superstar, yet history proves Stanley Cups seldom hinge on a single dazzler. They're won by deep, balanced rosters that peak together. Trading Mitch Marner stings, but it also rewires a payroll, unlocks fresh identity, and ends years of core 4 paralysis. So is this truly the end of the Leafs we knew, or the beginning of the team Toronto has always begged for? The coming season will deliver the verdict. One certainty remains: the storyline just became wildly unpredictable. And in hockey, unpredictability is half the thrill. Stick around, ring that bell, and join us for every twist that follows. Whether this is the dawn or the downfall, it's going to be one unforgettable ride.